Dr. Elena Vasquez brushed her fingertips over the faded glyphs of the Mayan Codex, her father's weathered journal open beside it. 20 years since his disappearance, and the academic world had written him off as another casualty of the jungle, or worse, a madman who'd chased alien fantasies into oblivion. But Elena knew better. "There," she whispered, tracing the intricate pattern that matched her father's final notes. Not constellations as everyone assumed, but coordinates precise latitude and longitude, pointing to a location deep in the Amazon that didn't exist on any map. Rain pelted the windows of her cramped university office as thunder rolled across. The Cambridge campus. 3 months of administrative leave after her controversial paper on xeno-architectural anomalies had left her reputation in tatters. This expedition was her last chance. Her phone buzzed. A text from her contact at the Brazilian Conservation Corps. "Found your guide. Ex-military. Knows the region better than anyone. Difficult personality." Meeting arranged tomorrow, not the next day, Elena found Marcus Chun nursing a coffee in a dimly lit cafe, his scarred hands wrapped around the mug as if drawing warmth from it. His eyes sharp, assessing followed her approach before she'd even identified herself. "Dr. Vasquez," he said, voice rough as stone. "Let me save us both time. I don't do treasure hunts, and I don't babysit academics with Indiana Jones complexes." Elena placed her father's journal on the table, open to a page filled with intricate diagrams of a pyramid structure unlike any on Earth. "This isn't about treasure, Mr. Chun. This is about finding answers to questions humanity doesn't even know to ask yet." "Questions get people killed in the jungle," Marcus replied, but his eyes lingered on the diagrams. Something flickered across. "His face recognition? Your father's work? You know it?" "I was stationed near where he disappeared. The locals still tell stories about the man who spoke to the stars and walked into the jungle one day, following lights that weren't there." Marcus rolled up his sleeve, revealing a prosthetic brace running the length of his forearm. 2 tours. In Yemen, 1 in Venezuela. Shrapnel severed nerves. "Chronic pain's my constant companion now." "I'm sorry," Elena said. "Don't be. It reminds me I'm still alive." He tapped the journal. "Unlike your father, he found something out there. Something that challenges everything we think we know about human history. And if I'm right, it's still waiting." Elena leaned forward. "I need someone who knows how to navigate more than just the terrain." Marcus's laugh was hollow. "And what makes you think I want to be found?" "Because you're here," Elena replied simply. "And because whatever my father discovered might just be worth the risk of being part of the world again." 3 days later, they stood at the edge of a tributary so remote it had no name, loading supplies into a weathered boat. The jungle stretched before them, ancient and unforgiving, hiding its secrets beneath canopies that blotted out the sky. "Last chance to turn back, Doctor," Marcus said, adjusting the machete at his belt. Elena checked the waterproof case containing her father's research. "I've been preparing for this my entire life, Mr. Chun. Call me Marcus." He started the boat's engine. "And for what it's worth, I hope you find what you're looking for." "It's not what I'm looking for that worries me," Elena replied. "It's what might be looking for us." As they ventured deeper into the Amazon, neither noticed the drone tracking their movement from high above, nor the encrypted transmission it sent to a facility buried deep beneath the Atacama Desert. Target on the move. Vasquez has the coordinates. Intercept team standing by. ** 7 days into the expedition. Elena woke to Marcus shaking her shoulder. The pre-dawn air hung heavy with moisture, and the sounds of the jungle transitioning between night and day. "We're being followed," he whispered, his voice barely audible above the chorus of insects. Elena grabbed her father's journal instinctively. "Who?" "Professional. Military trained. 3, maybe 4. Marcus was already packing essential gear. "They've been paralleling our course since yesterday." I thought I was being paranoid. My father's research has always attracted attention, Elena said, hurriedly stuffing equipment into her backpack. Government agencies, private contractors, people who believe the technology he was seeking could shift the global balance of power. Marcus's expression hardened. You didn't mention that part in the job description. Would you have come if I had? His silence was answer enough. They abandoned camp, taking a treacherous route through dense undergrowth that slowed their pursuers, but exhausted them both. By midday, Marcus's limp had worsened, his face drawn with pain as the neural receptors in his damaged leg flared in protest. We need to rest, Elena insisted, reaching for his arm. Marcus jerked away. We need to keep moving. Your coordinates, how much further? Elena consulted her GPS and her father's notes. According to this, we should be able to see it. We're practically on top of the location. See what, exactly? There's nothing here but jungle. Elena spun slowly, scanning the wall of green surrounding them. Her father's notes mentioned a veil of perception, something that concealed the structure from observation. It has to be here, she muttered, frustration mounting. Marcus leaned against a massive ceiba tree, sweat beading on his forehead. Maybe your father's coordinates were wrong. Maybe the tree, Elena interrupted, staring at where Marcus stood. Look at its shape. What they had taken for a ceiba was, in fact, not a tree at all, but living vegetation growing around an invisible structure. Elena approached cautiously, hands outstretched until her fingers met resistance. Solid, smooth surface where there appeared to be nothing but air. My God, she breathed, pressing her palm flat against the invisible barrier. Ripples of energy pulsed outward from her touch, like stone disturbing still water. The air shimmered, and suddenly they were standing before a towering pyramid of obsidian-like material that defied architectural logic, angles that seemed to bend in impossible ways, surfaces that absorbed rather than reflected light. That's not possible, Marcus whispered, instinctively backing away. Elena's heart raced. It's exactly as my father described. A resonance node 1 of 12 scattered across Earth. A distant shout echoed through the trees. Their pursuers had picked up their trail. Inside, Elena urged, already searching for an entrance. If they want this place so badly, we can't let them reach it first. Marcus hesitated, then nodded grimly. Lead the way, Doctor. As they circled the base of the pyramid, the jungle around them seemed to bend inward, as if the structure's gravitational pull affected more than just physical matter. They found an entrance, a seamless archway that appeared when Elena traced the pattern from her father's journal on the smooth surface. My father was here, she whispered, emotion threatening to overwhelm her. He found it. Inside, the air was cool and still, illuminated by soft blue light emanating from geometric patterns etched into the walls. The corridors seemed to shift, subtly as they walked, changing configuration in response to their presence. It's alive, Marcus murmured, wincing as he navigated the sloping passage. His prosthetic brace caught on an uneven section of floor, sending him stumbling forward. Elena reached out to steady him, but too late. Marcus's hand pressed against the wall to break his fall. The pyramid responded instantly. The geometric patterns flared to blinding intensity, and a pulse of energy surged through Marcus's body. He cried out, collapsing to his knees as the light enveloped him. Marcus! Elena knelt beside him, terrified. What's happening? Through clenched teeth, he managed. The pain, ... it's gone. Asterisk, the light receded from Marcus's body, drawing back into the walls of the pyramid like water into sand. He remained on his knees, staring at his hands in disbelief. Where moments before neural pain had crippled him, there was now only a strange warmth spreading through his limbs. The pain, he repeated, flexing fingers that had been partially numb for years. It's completely gone. Elena watched in astonishment as Marcus removed his prosthetic brace. The scarred tissue beneath began to shift visibly, damaged nerves reconnecting. As if rewoven by invisible hands, the pyramid is healing you. Not healing, came a voice that wasn't quite Marcus's deeper, resonating with harmonics that made the air vibrate. His eyes, when he looked up, contained fractals of the same blue light that illuminated the chamber. Evolving, Elena instinctively backed away. Marcus? He blinked, and the strange timbre faded from his voice. I'm here, but there's something else. Knowledge. Memories that aren't mine. He pressed his palms to his temples. I can see them. Elena, the architects. They weren't conquerors. They were gardeners. They seeded thousands of worlds with these nodes, waiting for species to evolve enough to use them. Outside, the sounds of their pursuers grew closer. Elena helped Marcus to his feet, noticing how he moved with newfound grace, as if the very physics of his body had been rewritten. We need to go deeper, she urged. No, Marcus said with sudden certainty. We need to activate the core. He led her through corridors that seemed to rearrange themselves to facilitate their passage, explaining as they moved. The architects left these pyramids as evolutionary catalysts. When a civilization reaches a certain level of development, the nodes activate, integrating with individuals who can serve as conduits. Conduits for what? Elena asked, struggling to keep pace. Cosmic consciousness. A network connecting all sentient life across the galaxy. Marcus stopped before a circular chamber dominated by a crystalline structure that pulsed with the same blue light. Your father found this place, Elena. He activated. It became the first human resonance keeper. Elena's heart skipped. He's alive? His consciousness is. It's part of the network now. But the process was incomplete. One node isn't enough. There needs to be a complete circuit. 12 nodes, 12 keepers. Heavy footsteps and tactical commands echoed from the entrance. Elena gripped Marcus's arm. Those people hunting us, what do they want? To control the technology, or destroy it. Marcus turned to her, his expression intense. The architects had enemy species that feared evolution, that wanted to keep younger races isolated and vulnerable. Their descendants still exist, working through human proxies. The crystalline structure pulsed faster, responding to Marcus's presence. He placed his hand on it, and the entire pyramid hummed with power. I can see the other nodes now. Your father found 3 before they caught up to him. I can feel him, Elena reaching out through the network. Tears welled in Elena's eyes. Can I speak to him? Marcus took her hand, placing it beside his. On the crystal, not speak, but feel. A jolt of connection surged through Elena, not words, but emotions, memories, the essence of her father's consciousness reaching across the void to touch her own. Joy, pride, urgency, and beneath it all, a warning. They're coming, Elena, the suppressors. Marcus must find the other nodes before they do. The connection broke as an explosion rocked the entrance of the pyramid. Armed figures in unmarked tactical. Gear poured in, weapons raised. Dr. Vasquez. Their leader called, "Step away from the alien and surrender the location data." Marcus pulled Elena behind him, his body beginning to shimmer with the pyramid's energy. They see me as changed already. He murmured, "Non-human. What do we do?" Elena whispered. Marcus closed his eyes briefly, communing with the node. When he opened them, determination had replaced uncertainty. We complete your father's work. The pyramid responded to his will, walls shifting to create an escape route behind them. As bullets pinged harmlessly off an energy field that had materialized around them, Marcus and Elena fled deeper into the structure, toward a hidden chamber that would lead them back to the surface far from their pursuers. The node is awakening. Marcus explained as they emerged into the jungle night half a kilometer from the pyramid. It won't let them access its core systems, but they'll keep coming for us and for the other nodes. Elena clutched her father's journal. Then we find them first. Marcus nodded, his eyes reflecting starlight with unnatural clarity. The next node is in the Gobi Desert. Your father marked its approximate location. And after that? After that? We race against those who would keep humanity isolated from the cosmos. Marcus looked up at the stars, seeing them now with perception beyond human limitation. The resonance network is humanity's birthright, Elena, and I'm just beginning to understand what that means. In the distance, the pyramid pulsed once, twice, then vanished from sight, cloaking itself once more as it had for millennia. But now, it was awake, alert, the first chord in a symphony of cosmic evolution. Part 4. The Transformation. 3 months after the Amazon, Elena stood atop a sand dune in the Gobi Desert, watching Marcus meditate in the pre-dawn light. His transformation had accelerated with each passing day, enhanced strength and reflexes, the ability to process information at inhuman speeds, and most unnervingly, moments of complete disconnection when his consciousness seemed to travel beyond his physical form. "You're staring again," Marcus said without opening his eyes. "Sorry," Elena replied, adjusting her scarf against the morning chill. "It's just your skin." Beneath his collar, geometric patterns similar to those inside the first pyramid had begun to appear on Marcus's skin, not tattoos, but changes in his cellular structure, visible proof of his ongoing metamorphosis. "Another node signature," he said, finally looking at her. "It happens when I connect with the network. Your father had them too." He stood in a single fluid motion that defied human biomechanics. "The second pyramid is close. I can feel it calling." Elena consulted the GPS coordinates extrapolated from her father's journal. "According to this, we should be right on top of it." Marcus smiled, the same warm human smile that reminded Elena he was still fundamentally the man she'd hired as a guide. The man who, against all odds, she had fallen in love with during their desperate race across continents. "Not on top," he said, kneeling to brush away sand from what appeared to be ordinary stone. "Beneath." As his fingers contacted the stone, it responded just as the Amazon pyramid had patterns of light spreading outward, revealing the entrance to a vast underground structure. "They're all different," Marcus explained as they descended into the earth. Each node evolved to complement the native environment and the species it was designed to guide. The Gobi node was a labyrinth of crystalline chambers, each amplifying and redirecting light captured from the surface. At its heart, they found another control core in evidence that Elena's father had indeed been there before them. "He left this for you," Marcus said, retrieving a weathered tablet from an alcove that had preserved it perfectly. "His consciousness knew you would follow." Elena activated the device with trembling hands. Her father's face appeared in a recorded message, older than she remembered, eyes alight with the same inner luminescence that now marked Marcus. "Elena, my brilliant girl, if you're watching this, you've found a guide, a new resonance keeper. The architects chose well." His image smiled sadly. "I'm sorry I couldn't come home. The transformation doesn't allow it once it progresses beyond a certain point. What I'm becoming ... It's wonderful and terrible and necessary. Humanity needs bridges to the greater cosmic community, and that's what the keepers provide." He explained how he'd activated 3 nodes before the suppressor's human allies had caught up with him, forcing him to integrate fully with the network to escape. "I exist across all active nodes now, but I need you and your keeper to complete the circuit. All 12 must be awakened before the resonance network can fulfill its purpose." The message ended with coordinates to the next node and a warning. The suppressors grow desperate. They've begun experimenting with hybrid technology reverse-engineered from damaged Nodes. They seek to create their own keepers ones, loyal to their vision of isolation rather than connection. Trust no one who bears the mark but serves their will. As if summoned by her father's warning, a tremor ran through the pyramid. Marcus's head snapped up. They've found us. Above, helicopters circled the now visible entrance to the node, but these weren't the same mercenaries who had pursued them in the Amazon. These soldiers moved with unnatural coordination, and their leader visible through tactical gear-bore geometric markings similar to Marcus's own. A corrupted keeper, Marcus growled, the pyramid's energy coalescing around him protectively. They've perverted the architect's gift. Elena clutched the tablet. What do we do? You activate the node fully. I'll hold them off. Before she could protest, Marcus pressed his lips to hers, a kiss that carried currents of energy between them, a promise that transcended physical connection. I'll find you at the third node. Your father's consciousness will guide you if we're separated. As he turned to face the approaching threat, Elena saw the full extent of his transformation, his humanity, and something greater now imperfect. Balance, the ideal bridge between worlds that the architects had designed the keepers to be. The Gobi node thrummed with power as Elena approached its core, her father's instructions guiding her hands. Above, she heard the clash of energies as Marcus confronted the corrupted keeper, a battle between evolutionary philosophies as much as individuals. As she completed the activation sequence, the node's consciousness surged through her momentarily, showing her glimpses of worlds beyond imagination, species that had evolved along paths unimaginably different from Earth's, yet connected by the same fundamental resonance that united all sentient life. In that moment of connection, she understood what humanity stood to gain and what the suppressors feared. Not invasion or conquest, but community. The end of cosmic isolation. The beginning of humanity's true place in the universe. The node pulsed once, brilliantly, sending a signal that would be detected by awakened keepers across the galaxy. The resonance network was growing stronger. Now she had to find the third node, with or without Marcus. But deep in her heart, connected through the network's growing power, she could feel him still fighting, still alive. And something else, a new presence in the connection, watching over them both. Her father, waiting at the next node, waiting to guide them home. Asterisk. The third node lay beneath the frozen tundra of northern Siberia, its entrance concealed within a magnetic anomaly that had confounded scientists for centuries. Alana arrived alone, following the guidance of her father's consciousness through the fledgling resonance network. 2 weeks had passed since the Gobi Desert, with no sign of Marcus. But through the network, she felt him distant but alive, moving steadily toward their rendezvous point while evading the suppressor's agents. The Siberian node activated at that. Her approach, recognizing her connection to both her father and Marcus. Inside, crystalline structures captured and amplified the aurora borealis dancing overhead, channeling its energy into the deepest chambers. The architecture here was more organic, almost fluid, adapting to her presence as she navigated toward the core. "Dad?" she called, her voice echoing through corridors that seemed to breathe with living light. "I'm here." No verbal response came, but the node itself pulsed in recognition, leading her deeper until she stood before a chamber unlike any she had seen in the previous structures. Here, suspended in a column of energy, was a humanoid form composed entirely of light not physical, yet unmistakably present. Elena. The voice resonated directly in her mind. "My daughter, you've come so far." Tears streamed down her face as she recognized the luminous being. "Dad, is that really you? What's left of me? What I've become?" The figure gestured, and the chamber filled with holographic displays, showing the remaining 9 nodes scattered across the planet. The resonance network is nearly ready. 3 active. Nodes have created enough stability for limited communication between keepers. But we need all 12 for humanity's full integration. Integration into what? The cosmic community. Thousands of evolved species connected through consciousness, sharing knowledge, philosophy, art, everything that makes sentience precious across the universe. The being that had once been her father rippled with emotion. The suppressors fear this connection. They believe isolation preserves their power. And Marcus? What's happening to him? He's becoming what I am. A bridge between physical and non-physical existence. The final form of a resonance keeper. Elena's heart constricted. Will I lose him completely? No. The first generation of keepers must maintain their physical form to activate the remaining nodes, but they exist in both realms simultaneously. Her father's consciousness approached, a tendril of light reaching out to touch her cheek without physical contact. He's coming now. The suppressors are close behind Dot, as if summoned by these words. The node trembled with new energy. Minutes later, Marcus emerged from a side passage changed almost beyond recognition. The geometric patterns now covered most of his visible skin, and his eyes shone with inner light. Yet when he smiled at Elena, she saw the human heart still beating within the evolving being. You made it, she breathed, rushing to embrace him. His arms encircled her, solid and warm despite his otherworldly appearance. I promised I would. The corrupted keeper follows, her father warned. They've learned to track the energy signature of awakened nodes. Marcus nodded grimly. We don't have much time. This node must be fully activated. It's the keystone that will stabilize the first resonance triad. Together, they approached the core chamber where Elena's father's consciousness guided them through a complex sequence of activations. As the final sequence initiated, the entire structure hummed with power, connecting with the Amazon and Gobi nodes across thousands of miles. It's working, Marcus whispered, his body beginning to shimmer as the node's energy flowed through him. I can feel the network forming. A violent explosion rocked the entrance of the node. The corrupted keeper had arrived with a full tactical team, determined to stop the activation. You must complete the sequence, Elena's father urged. I'll hold them back as long as possible. His luminous form streamed toward the entrance, while Elena and Marcus worked frantically to stabilize the growing connection between nodes. Through the network, Elena sensed other consciousnesses awakening dormant keepers, responding to the triad's call. Ancient guardians of the remaining nodes stirring after millennia of sleep. It's not just us, she realized aloud. The architects left sentinels at each node. They're waking up, reaching out to potential keepers around the world. Marcus nodded, his movements becoming increasingly fluid as the transformation accelerated. The network protects itself. Your father understood this. It's why he left the journals where you would find them. Why he led us to the first node. He knew once the triad was formed, the remaining nodes would call to those with the capacity to become keepers. A second, more powerful blast shuddered through the structure. Through the network, they felt Elena's father's consciousness straining against the corrupted keeper's assault. He can't hold them much longer, Marcus said, his voice overlaid with harmonics that seemed to bend the air itself. Elena, you need to decide. Decide what? Whether to become a keeper yourself. Marcus took her hands, his touch electric with potential. The network needs you, your mind, your heart, your unique perspective. But the transformation cannot be undone. Eleni thought of everything she would leave behind her academic career, her ordinary human existence. Then she thought of everything humanity stood to gain. Connection to a cosmic community that had awaited them since the dawn of consciousness. What happens if we succeed? She asked. If all 12 nodes activate, humanity evolves. Not physically, but consciously. The barriers between minds become permeable. Knowledge flows freely. War, scarcity, the illusions of separation all gradually fade as human consciousness expands to embrace its cosmic nature. Another blast closer now. Her father's presence flickered in the network. "I choose connection," Elena said firmly. Marcus pressed his forehead to hers, and the node responded immediately. Energy surged between them, through them, around them, reshaping. Elena at the quantum level as it had reshaped Marcus. Pain and ecstasy intertwined as her consciousness expanded beyond the confines of her physical form, touching the edges of something vast and beautiful. In that moment of transformation, she understood what the architects had intended all along. Not to change humanity, but to reveal what it had always been beneath the illusions of separation nodes in a greater network of consciousness, unique expressions of the universe experiencing itself. The corrupted keeper burst into the chamber. Weapons drawn, but faltered at the sight before him. Elena and Marcus, suspended in a column of light, their transformation nearly complete, the resonance network pulsing with newfound strength as the triad locked into perfect harmony. "Too late," Marcus's voice echoed, both physical and non-physical. "The signal has been sent." Across the planet, the remaining 9 nodes stirred to life, calling to those who would become their keepers. The resonance network had reached critical mass. Humanity's isolation was ending. Elena reached out through the network, touching minds awakening to their cosmic potential, feeling the barriers between self and other dissolving into a greater unity that preserved individual perspective while transcending separation. Among those minds, strongest of all, was her father's, no longer lost, but transformed, waiting to guide humanity's first steps into a larger community of consciousness that spanned the stars. "We are the bridges." Elena and Marcus spoke as one, their voices resonating with the truth of what they had become. "We are the keepers, and humanity is finally coming home."